Good afternoon, friends. Dr. Anil Kakotkar, the chairman of TIFAC Council, Dr. Prabhat Ranjan, distinguished panel members, all participants, the think tank of our country. So, I'm so happy to be here on the 30th Foundation Day of TIFAC. I have been very closely associated with TIFAC for almost 2 decades out of the 3 decades of its existence, including the first Technology Vision 2020 and then now 2035. So my compliments to the chairman, TIFAC Council, Dr. Anil Kakotkar, who has really given a new paradigm for the TIFAC, and also Dr. Prabhat Ranjan and all the colleagues. My felicitation to all of you on your 30th Foundation Day. It's a very important milestone, and TIFAC has done extremely well. My compliments. The Technology Vision 2020 really made a great impact. It provided new trajectories, new projects, new programs, and also now in the 2035, it's just not only a vision document, but really TIFAC, under the leadership of Dr. Anil Kakotkar, is driving this as a roadmap to reach certain targets, certain goals, certain visions, the objectives which we have set for this particular document. So my compliments to all those who are involved. I was fortunate to be part of this. So in fact, this Technology Vision document was released by Honorable Prime Minister, and who has laid emphasis on the societal relevance. All this vision document should address our societal needs first. So that is what the message which he gave at that point of time, taking the demographic advantage, that India really can become a knowledge superpower, provided we put all these resources, all this thinking power into actions and implementation. So in this document, which covers almost all spectrum of human species life, if you really look at education and the medical, water, energy security, food security, all that what you want to see, which will impact the human life is there in this particular document. And since now, earlier when we talked about 2020, the technology was evolving, but now it's revolutionary changes, leaps. It is just galloping, technology is galloping, just not moving ahead as a small, slow evolutionary process, but it's really galloping. That's why whatever we see today, which may look like a fiction or crystal gazing, will happen soon, because the technology is leaping forward. So the 2020 document, Technology Vision of TIFAC, really looked at what was the objective, is to make India a developed nation. This is what Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who spearheaded that mission, he was talking about how do you make, through science and technology application, the economic power, India as an economic power, military power, and knowledge power. So this really made a very significant impact. And if you look at the new scientists, 2005, 10 years ago or 11 years ago, they predicted, the world scientific community predicted India the next knowledge superpower. It's just not only knowledge power, but they predicted knowledge superpower. It's not Indian prediction, it is the prediction of the world community. So if that has to happen, such kinds of exercise, as Dr. Kapotkar mentioned, the vertical which you have to look at, the emerging technologies, and also the exponential technologies, which is the theme which is being talked about, is a very important initiative in that direction. What are the indications that, yes, India is becoming a knowledge superpower? We have a world-class recognition in IT, biotechnology, and many other domains. We have tremendous strength which we have built, both in terms of manpower, skilled manpower, as well as the knowledge force. Then we do have a research infrastructure, R&D infrastructure available. So all this, if you look at top 20, top 10, we are that in many positions. So now we have to build on this strength to become really a knowledge superpower. And in information technology, what is that which will happen, which as a revolutionary change, the telecommunication and remote processing is going to be a very, very important initiative in information technology. In that, the cloud computing and also the Internet of Things, all that will come under the information technology where we have tremendous strength. India will see. I have given my focus primarily on Indian ecosystem and also how it would affect the Indian population and thereby affecting the 7 billion population. We also have a very strong think tanks, and in our think tanks, the philosophy is both not only the Western concepts which we have acquired through education, learning, and also our experience of exposure over there, but we also have the Indian ethos and also Indian values. This is the unique strength Indian scientists and technologists have. It is just not only the Western learning which we have, but we are blending with the spiritual component, like Dr. Ashutosh Sharma was mentioning in the morning. He was talking about consciousness, how he related the whole changes which is happening to consciousness. So this only Indian brain can think. So I think that is why India can become a knowledge superpower. Now I'm going to give some emerging technologies in these sectors: food security, water security, health security, energy security, and environmental security. What are those exponential technologies which we will really see which will happen? The first green revolution happened because of the application of science and technology. Now what will happen in this, the evergreen revolution will happen through the other modalities. Some of them I will give, the new technologies, emerging technology. GM crops and GM food will become a reality. Whatever maybe the political activists and others may be talking about, but this will become a reality and compulsion because the land is dwindling down, the population is growing, and we need to look at new modalities which will be having protection against the abiotic stress, biotic stress, and also climate resilient plants which we need to create. That will come only through the hybrids, varieties, and transgenics. So transgenics will become a reality and will be acceptable, will be forced to accept, which will happen. So this is another very important the initiative. Similarly, the white revolution. Now we have achieved the status of the largest milk producer, but now what will happen in the next 10, 15 years, that how do you increase the per capita, the productivity of the animals where we will have the genetic manipulation, and also the hybrids will come in a big way, and also the cloning which will come, which will bring this per capita productivity of the animals, particularly the cows. Now when we look at these exponential technologies in the food security, you will find the transgenics, which I mentioned. Synthetic biology is going to be a very, very important area which will make a mark in this next 10, 15 years. Synthetic biology, where you can create organisms. You want to have a plant control, plant disease management, biocontrols. You can create a synthetic the organism which can engulf those plant pathogens and then control them. Similarly for human application, animal application. But then it also has technologies a double-edged weapon. So it can have implications on biowarfare. You can create an organism which will be resistant to any other the drug-resistant organisms which can wipe out. So when you talk about doomsday, which many people are philosophically talking about, they're also talking about biowarfare. Can it wipe out the human species? When we are talking about the positive application of the synthetic biology, and there is also the other side, that can you create an organism which will wipe out the human species. So that is a threat where we need to control, regulate. Hydroponics is also going to become a reality because the land is dwindling down. So soil-less cultivation will become a reality. In all your houses, you will cultivate vegetables in your own rooms and rooftops. So hydroponics, soil-less cultivation will become a reality. Artificial photosynthesis. Again, can you synthesize food like the plants are doing? This will also be, we did some, this crystal gazing in our mission document as well. Then the biofortification, when we are talking about the food, after you make the food, you fortify them, can you do it when you grow the plant? By using, again, genetic manipulation, whether it's for iron, whether it's for vitamin A, can you do that, or zinc, biofortification? All this is possible to be produced by the genetic manipulation. Genomics and proteomics is going to be a very important area where there will be a lot of exponential changes which will happen, which will minimize the aging process. We are now looking at the genes the genomic profiles which are responsible for aging process, the disease, and the pharmacogenomics, all that will come from the genomic studies in a big way. The edible vaccines today which is being talked about, again, we will have the actual edible vaccine. You don't have injections or a drop. It's actually, you can just eat the vaccines and then vaccinated against the, maybe even multivalent. Protected cultivation is going to, next 10 years, India is going to see a big revolutionary change. This is where India has not really focused. Protected cultivation is the most important requirement today for our country. If you have to increase the per capita productivity, I'm sure the government will take note of it and TIFAC can drive this, because if you look at Israel, it has done it very well. So you need to combine two things together, protected cultivation with precision agriculture, because water is going to be a rare commodity today, and is going to be in future much more for irrigation, it will be much less. So can you develop sensors which can sense the requirement of the soil for the water, or you can use remote sensing, the satellite remote sensing, thereby give the right quantity to the right requirement of the soil. So I think this is precision agriculture not only for water, but also for the use of pesticides, use of fertilizers. So precision agriculture combined with protected cultivation is going to bring revolutionary changes, exponential changes in food security, which is very applicable to our country. I think we must focus on a very big way, and we should bring in very large horizontal and verticals in terms of promoting the protected cultivation and precision agriculture. The other important thing which our country requires, which is going to see in the next 5-10 years, is the post-harvest technologies. Our loss is 30 to 40% post-harvest. So our exponential technologies will be zero energy cooling, then minimum economical energy cooling, and ultimately in the field, the farmer should have the cooling, not the cold chain management. So we need to develop some frugal innovations which will come in these as an exponential technologies. I'm not talking about crystal gazing, but what is required for Indian society is these type of technologies. So post-harvest technologies, which is for small and marginal farmers, is the most important one which is going to come in a big way. The other one which I want to bring into this forum, which Prime Minister's office has